I hear a lot of people say nowadays, like watching Game of Thrones when it was airing, that was really like one of the best experience, and I feel like we're never gonna experience something like that anymore. It felt so good to be part of that. Every week when there would come out a new episode, just talk to people about it. Now when a show comes, like a full season comes out, I'm just working on it nonstop for 2 weeks. Yeah, I did really like it. I think I liked it more when there was just like an episode coming out every week, because then the discussions also would keep going. I really like that. For example, with Game of Thrones, people would just talk about it for weeks, and that's a thing I miss now. That like a show drops and after a week, no one talks about it anymore.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reactorverse Podcast, where we chat with all your favorite people in the reaction space. I'm joined today by a veteran in the space, someone who's been around for a while, seen a lot of shows that I've seen, a lot of other people have seen. I'm excited to have you here today is Larissa Zeeuwe. I believe I'm hopefully doing it justice, all the way from the Netherlands. Larissa, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I've seen you in the space for a long time now, in obviously my feed and in various reaction compilations. I've watched over the years for big shows like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, all the highlights that you covered over the years. And I've been really, eager to talk to you just because, you have such a long, tenured career with the channel. And you've seen a lot in that time, a lot of not just shows, but just like different changes and evolutions and trends and media and stuff like that. So I know you probably have a lot of insight and just like from your experience of how that's sort of, gone. And in my opinion, you're a pretty iconic presence in the space. Just
Thank you.
Your look, your emotions, your hair, for sure. It's something that always is visually striking when I see you in the reactions. So I wanted to have you on just to talk to you today about your experience.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Of course, but as we start at the very beginning of all of these things, and for our foreign, non-American participants that we usually have on, I like to ask, starting with your background growing up, with TV and film, what was the sort of your history with that growing up? I guess particularly with American media, how exposed were you to that growing up?
Well, my parents, they introduced me to movies from a very young age. I think it started with my dad introducing me and my brother to Star Wars, and we just immediately fell in love with it. And I think that was also for me the first time where I was like, whoa, I really think I'm a fan of something. So I just kept thinking about it and do like research about it. But also my parents, I remember when I was really young, they're big horror fans. So of course, when I was really young, I was too young to watch them. But then from a certain age, I could watch the movies with them. And then I also completely fell in love with horror movies.
Right.
So yeah, I was just exposed to a lot of movies from a very young age. And I think it really started there.
Makes sense. Yeah. Two definitely big fandoms. I'm also very fond of horror and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that. Do you recall, possibly, do you remember what the first Star Wars film was that you saw?
I think it was probably the Phantom Menace, because
Okay.
my dad was like, yeah, you have to watch them in the right order. But I think now he showed them in the wrong order. But back then I was a child, I didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's debatable. It's debatable which order.
Yeah.
I think back and forth between what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
And growing up, did you have any sort of outlets or creative processes to just talk about film and share that with others?
Yeah, when I was really young, of course, I wasn't on social media or anything yet. It also wasn't such a thing back then. So then I mostly, at school, I would go to friends and be like, oh, you should really watch that. And I just made all my friends and my brother watch what I liked. So I had people to talk to about it. But later, I mostly use Twitter to express my feelings about shows and TV shows.
Yeah.
And I think I also even created some fan accounts, like a Game of Thrones fan account, and also on Instagram some fan accounts to express my feelings about my fandoms.
Right. Yeah. The glory days of social media when
Yeah.
it was like easier to share those things before things kind of got a little weird online.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I've mentioned before, you've had a pretty long history on YouTube. It's been over 10 years now with the channel. So you started when you're very young, and likewise, that's just a generational thing. There's so many people who are have long careers. I just spoke with Caitlin Marie, who's been on YouTube for 10 years as well. She started when she was a teenager. Now she's in her mid 20s, like still thriving about what she's doing with her channel. And I just find it really interesting when I can reach out to like sort of a generation younger than myself, at least, about what your experience was like. I guess, what was your first experience like with YouTube growing up before you even had the channel for yourself?
For me, I mostly used it when I really liked a movie or TV show. I would obsess with the actors, and then I would
Mhm.
start to watch interviews through YouTube. I didn't really use it that much, to be honest, but I think I really started to watch more YouTube when my brother, he was playing Minecraft a lot.
Mhm.
And then I started playing Minecraft too. And he introduced me to a lot of Dutch Minecraft YouTubers. And then I was
Right.
just every day watching their videos. So, yeah, I think that was how that all started.
Right. That makes sense. Do you recall any maybe specific channels that served as any sort of influences or inspirations for yourself? I guess particularly for the sort of vlogging style, videos that you started with.
Yeah, there was this guy, and I think at the time he was the biggest Dutch Minecraft YouTuber, and he made this whole fictional world. It was like a TV show in Minecraft, and he
Hmm.
uploaded that, and we were big fans of that, and um, we were kind of like, oh, we really want to do that too. Because of the whole community he had there, he introduced a lot of other YouTubers on there as well.
Right.
And then, for example, he had a girlfriend and she would vlog a lot. So kind of through that space, I came into contact with all of that.
Oh, right.
And that made me want to do that myself too.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the vlogging style of videos, it's a pretty common in for a lot of channels, especially for reaction channels. I feel it's a very common through line for people to start vlogging, then to get into reactions and so on. A natural evolution. When you started with the channel and those early vlogs, was it something that you dedicated a lot of time to get started, or was it something more casual that you were sort of trying out?
Yeah, it was also because I would see that with big YouTubers that they were doing that, and um, but the thing is, I was 13 at the time, so my life really wasn't that interesting. But I also really wanted to make vlogs,
Right.
and I see people vlogging every day, and I was like, oh, I really want to do that too. But yeah, I was just at home with my parents making homework, so I didn't really have that much interesting stuff to film.
Right.
So I feel like I tried really hard, but there weren't really any fun videos coming out of there. But then at one point, I decided I'll just make vlogs when I, for example, go on a holiday or
Mhm.
do a trip. And I feel like then it started to feel a bit more natural because then you have a fun day and it's very easy to film and then it's more fun. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any significant learning curves just in terms of like, recording, like editing, like uploading, stuff like that?
In the beginning, I would just put down a camera and just not really think about it a lot.
Mhm.
But I did go to film school eventually, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, there you also get like technical lessons and all, and that really made me realize, oh, I should pay more attention to that, and
Mm.
yeah, that really helped me with that.
Right. That makes sense. And yeah, again, you started pretty young, as a teenager. And I, was in high school when YouTube first started. I was like, around 17 into the 2000s. And yeah, it's just a different, again, generational landscape, of getting into it. For yourself, when you started and you had like a few vlogs under your belt and you were uploading on like, holidays, stuff like that, because how did it feel to sort of, open yourself up to the world and just like, expose yourself just to, the sort of breadth of like, who was seeing your videos and like, being able to express yourself that way?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really think much of it. For me, it was just like this is my hobby,
Hmm.
kind of the same as someone else would do football for a hobby, for
Right.
example.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really think a lot about it. Of course, I had some, yeah, it shouldn't be, of course, but I had some weird experiences at school when people started finding out I was doing YouTube, and yeah, they would try to bully me and stuff like that. But
Right.
I never paid a lot of attention to that. For me, it was just like, yeah, this is my hobby, and I like doing this.
Yeah.
Um, but I have to say, I feel like my channel only really started growing when I was 18. So yeah, I was already a little bit older then.
Yeah, it's a good yes, range to be able to finally, I think, grasp it and then, situate how you actually want to sort of take the channel.
Yeah.
By that time, were you aware of like the reaction space, of like the reaction format on YouTube?
I had seen some people do it, but I also didn't think much of it. I think the first time I saw someone make a reaction was to The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
I think I saw it once or twice, but yeah, I wasn't really aware it was such a big thing.
Yeah, the Walking Dead and Game of Thrones is two of the main ones that you started with because they're truthfully such big catalysts in the reaction space. Like they were two of the big shows that really inspired people to try it out, jump into it, and to see that there was like kind of a community around it. Especially for The Walking Dead, Johnny Odell, who has his own channel now, J2O, was the editor for the Skybound channel at the time, and they really embraced the format by doing the compilations, week to week
Yeah.
when the show was airing. And that's how I found you. I found like so many other people in the space, just like being brought in that circle. You started with Game of Thrones specifically in season 6, and obviously you were a fan of the show before that. You started in the middle of season 6. I guess what was the sort of catalyst or jumping point for you to just like take the plunge and just try it out?
I think actually my very first reaction was the episode from The Walking Dead with Negan and Glenn. I think I didn't do the rest of the season, and then I just started Game of Thrones after. But for me, that was just like I knew like the last season had ended on a cliffhanger, so I knew I was probably gonna have an interesting reaction to it. And I was like,
Right.
how can I express this even more than just tweeting about it? I was like, let's just put down a camera and yeah, film my reaction, put it on YouTube. And then with Game of Thrones, at first I was like, okay, but Game of Thrones is really my thing because it was like my favorite show ever.
Mhm.
And I realized editing the videos took a lot of work, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that with every episode.
Right.
So I think from season 6, I watched the first 4 episodes, and the thing is, in the Netherlands, the episodes would always air a day later than in America. So
Right.
I would just be in school the entire day, just waiting to be able to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Um, so then I would already go on the internet and try to read some stuff because I was just too excited. Like spoiler free, I tried, but yeah. And then I realized with episode 5, I think it was the Hold the Door episode with Hodor, and I saw that people had such heavy reactions to it, and then I thought, okay, then I'm probably gonna have a heavy reaction to it too. Like I didn't know what was gonna happen yet, but it felt worth it to put the camera down again, and that's why I randomly started in the middle of season 6.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes sense, and it's not uncommon that sort of thread for a lot of people, especially with The Walking Dead. That season 7 premiere was again a big catalyst for the space. There's so many channels that, like you, started with that specific episode, obviously because they knew it was going to be big. It had a lot of stakes applied to it. Another channel I know, LM Reactions. They're from the two girls from Serbia who were similar to you, didn't speak English, didn't know much about like the online format, so they just jumped into it and took a chance at doing the reaction to that episode, not knowing what was going to happen, and they're still around today as well. They're still doing well. So
Yeah.
it was a big moment for the reaction space, and likewise, again, getting into the format itself. Were there any sort of performative learning curves of just being on camera, being able to articulate yourself and get comfortable in front of the camera?
In the beginning, I think I was maybe a bit too comfortable even. Like I would put down a camera and I wouldn't really think about it.
Right.
Like my first reaction is literally me in a mouse onesie on the couch at night. Because I was like, yeah, that's how I normally watch a TV show. So I'm going to
Right.
do it like that now too. So I feel like later I started to think a bit more like, okay, maybe put some more energy into this and just like you're still in front of a camera. You're not just sitting in
Right.
your pajamas watching a show for yourself. So
Right.
I think I became a bit more energetic and focused a bit more on the shows while I was reacting than before.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely again a balance between feeling a natural investment in the show, but also having like sort of like a bit performative nature of just like being quote unquote like on to be engaged and make it a bit of like a a spectacle for yourself. And yeah, similar to Allen Reaction, some other channels that I know. I guess what was the experience like slowly transitioning with the language barrier? Because I know the first few you did in Dutch, and then you sort of just started speaking English more in the videos. I guess what was that sort of evolution like for you?
It was just like I realized I wasn't there were a lot of people who wanted to watch my reactions but just couldn't understand me, and I wanted to reach those people as well.
Mm.
So just one day I was like, okay, today I'm gonna try this in English, see if it performs better than if more people can watch it. Yeah, at first you have to get used to it, of course, but it came very natural to me because from a young age I have been watching movies in English, and also, of course, it was still very basic English then, and I didn't know all the words, of course, but
Right.
for me, it wasn't really hard or anything. It just, in the beginning, it was weird, but then it just came kind of natural.
Yeah, yeah, and it was your, like you said, your main influence of English, was that from media? Is that how you sort of picked up the most?
Yeah, I think so too. At one point, I think from when I was around 14, I also started. First, I watched everything with Dutch subtitles, but then I started using English subtitles, and I think that really made me learn more English.
Hmm.
Also, like I said before, when I would watch the interviews from actors on YouTube at a young age, they didn't have
Right.
subtitles, so and I really wanted to understand what they were saying. So,
Right.
yeah, I think that's how I yeah learned a lot of English.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, were the bread and butter of the channel for a while. Like a lot of people at that time, in like the early or mid 2010s, around that era. Do you recall at that time, what it felt like just to be in that mix, week to week, in the discussions? Did that enhance the experience at all, being able to share your reactions and be part of the conversations week to week?
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a really fun experience. It just, I hear a lot of people say nowadays, like, watching Game of Thrones when it was airing, that was really like one of the best experience, and I feel like we're never gonna experience something like that anymore.
Right.
It felt so good to be part of that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like I said, I mostly use Twitter beside my reactions, and it was just so fun to every week there when there would come out a new episode, just talk to people about it. Yeah, yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have had these conversations before on here on this podcast of people, who have had their channels for maybe a couple years now, post pandemic, and saying like, I wish I had reacted to Game of Thrones when it was on. It's kind of, yeah, it's like a bygone era of
Yeah,
TV now, and be able to talk about and enjoy it. So it's very special for those of us who are around at that time.
yeah.
um, and yeah, you stuck with those two shows for a long time. I guess you eventually expanded into other series and other shows. Did you feel by that time you pretty confident trying out other shows and stepping out of those territories, or did it feel like a bit of a hurdle to try out new things?
I think the first show I did after those two, or like next to those two shows, was American Horror Story, but
Mm.
also already watched that from when it started airing. So I was already familiar with that universe and all.
Mhm.
Not sure what season I started with, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to do more shows, and yeah, I already knew that show, so that helped. I'm actually not sure when was the first show I hadn't seen anything of before.
Because I know you did Vikings, but that was also a little bit into the
Yeah,
show, as well. And yeah, so like a handful of shows that you were trying out at the time. Again, some that you were jumping into because you were a fan of it already and trying out.
yeah.
Once those initial shows like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead came to an end, do you recall the experience of having to decide, leaving those shows behind, and like now you have like the landscape of the channel to work with. Like now you can fill different slots and different holes and different weekly reactions to it. I guess what was that sort of experience like? Just trying to decide how to navigate the channel for more content.
Yeah, I think because by then I already started to do some more shows. I could focus on them a bit more, and also The Walking Dead kept going for so long, and of course now the spin-offs are going on. So
Right.
I feel like that still hasn't really ended. Um, yeah, when Game of Thrones ended, I was obviously really sad, also just because of how it ended. And at
Right.
first, I was like, yeah, are people still gonna watch my channel? Is it still gonna be interesting without Game of Thrones? But yeah, that was just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, had to get used to not having Game of Thrones in my life anymore.
Yeah, yeah. It was a big, I think, catharsis for a lot of people at that time, because it was ending. It was also the same year that the MCU the Marvel Cinematic Universe felt like it was ending for a lot of people, with like Infinity War and Endgame and stuff like that. Same for Star Wars as well with the Rise of Skywalker. So it felt like this like weird sort of cadence in pop culture that people were like saying goodbye to so many big franchises, and moving on to new things. And then that would, of course, you know, prelude the pandemic, a couple years later. So it was a weird time. And how do you compare the experience, of starting a show on camera versus starting it off camera just for yourself, just like in terms of like your investment and kind of what you're paying attention to? I guess how do those two experiences, compare to one another?
When I react to a show, I want to make sure that I do understand everything. Sometimes when like a show is a bit fake, for example, Westworld, I had a lot
Mhm.
of trouble understanding that because it's just a hard show to follow. Um, but then because I'm reacting to it, I'm like, yeah, but I'm putting this on YouTube. I have to understand it. Otherwise, it's weird if I'm going to upload something I don't understand.
Right.
So I try, when I start new things, I always try to do research first, like what is it about, and just get to know a bit of it already,
Hmm.
without spoilers, of course. So I'm at least a bit prepared. And if after I there's something I don't understand, I try to do research before I do a review. And when I watch a show for myself, it's just like it doesn't matter that much. Like yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
the pressure is
easier.
off
The
a little
pressure is
bit.
off. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
just try and get it right away. And similarly, I guess how do you compare starting, a show of a brand new, IP or brand new franchise compared to something that you're a little more familiar with, like jumping into a new Star Wars show or jumping into a new Walking Dead show? And just how do those do compare?
Yeah, like I said, when there's a show I don't know anything about, I try to at least read the IMDb page to know what it's kind of gonna be about. With Star Wars and The Walking Dead, I don't do that much because I'm like, yeah, I know most of the characters already. I know the world, so it's gonna be pretty easy to jump into. With new things, I really try to prepare myself.
Right. Yeah. It's I think it's from what I found with other channels, they said it's just a bit easier. There's like just almost like a shorthand of, to understand, certain terminologies, just words and phrases that carry over from, a show to show. If it's a world that you're familiar with, like Star Wars, you don't have to explain what the Force is. You have to explain, what a lightsaber is, a blaster is, so on, so on. So it makes it a
Yeah,
little easier. But then the fun that some people said is have for new shows is learning those new things and trying to understand the world and like get invested in the lore a little bit. And you mentioned, obviously video games have played a large, role in the channel's history with Minecraft and like the video games, the Let's Plays that you played, so on. I guess what is your background with video gaming in general?
well, as a kid, I think I only played Minecraft, and
Mhm.
then I think I played some Slender Man, and then I started playing some more horror games as well. But later, I started to play more story based games. I think I started with The Walking Dead Telltale. I also did that on my channel, and I think now on my channel, I'm mostly when I do a gameplay, it's mostly a story based game.
Mhm.
So, for example, The Last of Us or Life is Strange. So yeah, that's also really fun to do. But I feel like sometimes the experience is a little similar to making a reaction because you're still reacting to a story. You're just playing the story yourself.
Right.
So yeah, for me personally, I don't feel like there's a big difference for me.
Yeah, yeah. Life is Strange is one of my favorite games, and I was watching your Life is Strange 2 Let's
Yeah,
Plays a little while ago just to catch up on it. And yeah, that's such a unique experience. Again, compared to the Telltale games, that's very similar in terms of mechanics. For Life is Strange, there's what I found with myself at least, and with some other channels, is that there's just like this, like you said, a bit of pressure just to sort of like you feel like you're performing well, just like you have to feel like you're making the right decisions, which
yeah,
is
yeah. I feel
which
that
is
too. Yeah,
which is hard to reconcile with like on the thing, as opposed to like a regular game where it's just like I'll just follow what the story tells me to do,
Mhm.
like The Last of Us or whatever. So it's a bit on rails in that sense.
Yeah. I also feel like when I play games on camera, I feel like I have to play them really well. Like, for example, when I'm playing them for myself and I keep failing, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. But then when the camera's on, I'm like, no, I can't die again.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I've died 5 times here already. I can't. I need to
Yeah.
progress and keep the flow going a little bit. And yeah, we carry that over into the pandemic era of things. That's when things sort of flip for everyone, on camera, off camera, in every sort of facet. I guess what was your pandemic experience like, at that time? Now that you had the channel and you had sort of an established workflow to work with by that time.
I feel like there were more people starting to check out reaction videos. So yeah, I noticed that a bit. For me personally, there wasn't that much of a difference because I was still in school back then. So I just had the online lessons, and I also still had a job at the grocery store, and that didn't close, obviously. So
Mhm.
I just had the same amount of time to make videos, really. So yeah, I didn't feel that much of it, to be honest.
Did you? I know some people, felt the cabin fever a little bit of just being stuck inside. Was that something that affected you at all, or did you feel pretty, comfortable with the balance that you had at the time between the work and your ability to go out and go to work and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's in the beginning I thought it was pretty chill, just stay inside, just relax for a bit.
Right.
But later, yeah, I really wanted to go out, see friends, stuff like that. So yeah, that was hard, but I think it did help for me because there were a lot of people who were working jobs who couldn't go to their job anymore and who were really just sitting at home all day. And for me, it was like I still had my side job, I had the channel, so I constantly had something to do. So yeah, I was keeping busy. That helped me, I think.
Of course, yeah, yeah. I started, a lot of my online presence more so in that time because I was working for a handful of different channels at the time, and so I just recall I met my partner at that time as well. So it was, like you said, pretty chill in
Yeah.
some aspects of it, but it's stressful at some just to try to stay sane during the height of it. And coming out of the early years of the pandemic is when we had the sort of streaming wars of TV, which is obviously a big impact on the reaction space, the binge model coming out and being more prevalent for channels. Even now, we have those months where it's like we have this big show airing that's weekly, but then we have this other big show airing that's going to be like 10 drop 7 episodes at once. So we have to decide how to work on that balance. I guess for you, how has that shift been in terms of your workflow, your rotation of work, and just how you sort of approach deciding how to prioritize what goes on the channel and what you had to pace out for yourself?
Yeah, it was a big difference for me when shows just started dropping at once.
Mhm.
Because first it was just like, yeah, there was one episode a week, and you would work on that for one day, and then it was done. Now, when a show comes, like a full season comes out, I'm just working on it nonstop for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and I'm not really sure what I prefer, to be honest. But yeah, I did really like it. I think I liked it more when there was just like an episode coming out every week.
Hmm.
Because then the discussions also would keep going. I really like that. For example, with Game of Thrones,
Right.
people would just talk about it for weeks,
That's
and
true.
that's a thing I miss now. That like a show drops and after a week, no one talks about it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Yeah, I think a lot of TV shows are trying to achieve that, sort of water cooler discussion every like week to week and dropping, maybe one episode or just a handful of episodes, in batches. Like Wednesday, I think is
Yeah,
an example that like broke up its season. Stranger Things this year will break up its season into 3 parts. So yeah, they're trying to sort of I think find the middle ground between that and the binge model. And yeah, it's funny because for a channel like yours, I think anyone's been around for more than like 5-6 years, pre-pandemic. Uh, Everyone I know of that tenure says like, I'm not going to chase and do a binge show like every single day. I'm gonna just do it week to week. I'm gonna I've been there. I've done that. I'm not gonna like try to chase it as
yeah.
heavily. I feel like you've kind of earned that luxury to be like you've been around. You don't need to feel the need to chase it. You can prioritize it yourself.
Yeah, but I do notice it in the views. When I upload it later, when it has been out for a few weeks, then I feel like barely anyone still watches it. So
Right.
that's still kind of an internal struggle. Like, should I just be as fast as possible, or should I just upload it in my own tempo? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Whatever's comfortable for you, I think is the
Yeah,
most important thing. And on top of that, you've also had others join you for some reactions, like Wayna joined you for the Last of Us reactions as well. And those are really fun, obviously, because as I've spoken with other people, there's just a different dynamic, a shift, when you have someone sitting next to you to bounce that off of. I guess how has that, been like, being able to react with other people, next to you and share those experiences with?
yeah. I think it's really fun because while I'm watching the episode, I feel more space to for example, question things.
Hmm.
Normally when I'm alone, I start to question things, and I'm like, I know I'm not going to get an answer because I'm alone in the room.
Right.
But when I'm with a friend, and they have different views on certain things, and I think it's so fun to share that, like during a reaction or after. So yeah, I think that's really fun to do.
And yeah, you both shared some emotional moments in that show specifically.
Yeah.
With this past season as well. I think more so. I guess emotions and crying on camera is like a big part of the reaction currency, so to speak, with a lot of people, and it's something that some people grapple with. Some people find it easier to adjust to. I guess, how do you process those heavy emotions in the moment when you feel them coming on, and balancing that with like the knowledge of that you're on camera and you're sharing this with other people. I guess, how does that sort of process go for you?
Yeah, I think it helped for me that when I started doing reactions, I pretended like the camera wasn't there. So
Mhm.
I was just like, I'm feeling this right now, so I'm just gonna let it out. Like I'm not gonna pretend like it's not there. And I think I still do that, especially when I feel a lot for a show. And for example, one of my favorite characters dies. I'm not gonna hold back,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
feel a lot.
Yeah, you definitely feel it. I was watching Stranger Things reactions the other day to catch
Mm,
up on everything, and yeah, that's definitely one that has a lot of highs and lows, in it.
yeah,
And yeah, it's funny though, because I know, Wayna, when you got to season 2, episode 2, the big moment with you
yeah.
know Joel, Pedro, so on. You both had, a pretty emotional breakdown at a certain point because of the way it was executed. I've seen a lot of people come on as guests and they're like, I didn't know that was going to hit me like that.
Mm.
It was unique in itself.
Yeah, I think it's really fun because Vena has been a fan of The Last of Us ever since I think the first game came out. They played it pretty early on, and I only started playing it right before the show started. Yeah, they have a lot of like a long history with The Last of Us, and
Mhm.
I think that's really fun to see. Like Vena's way more emotional with that kind of stuff, and I think that was really fun to bring to my channel. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's fun to see. Again, it's fun to be able to share that with someone.
yeah.
In that regard. And the pandemic, also opened the doors for movie reactions. I think that was something that was not, taboo and unheard of prior to the pandemic, but it was something that was a lot more rare, I think. And I think it was mainly the fact that during the height of the pandemic, studios were experimenting with dropping movies the same day as in theaters. So I think a lot of channels were thinking like, I'll try it out. I'll try out watching a movie, for the first time on the channel as opposed to watching it in theaters. And that's sort of like, open the doors for a lot of channels to make that their, main sort of bread and butter with like with what they do with the channel. And for someone like yourself who has been around in the space for a while and done a lot of TV reactions, I guess, what was that like being able to start dabbling in movie reactions and that the difference in that format?
Well, I think I actually started movie reactions because of Patreon, because people started requesting it. For me, it wasn't really because they would drop it early. Also, I don't think I've reacted to any movies that had just come out because I still prefer going to the cinema to just check it out. I really like that experience.
Right.
Movies are way longer, so it's gonna take way more effort to edit it. It's gonna take way longer. And for me, when I started Patreon, at first I thought, okay, it's gonna take way too much work. But then when people actually started sponsoring movies, then I was like, okay, then at least I know that when I work for 2 full days, that it's gonna be worth it, And like, if
Mm.
no one watches it, then yeah, then you've worked for 2 days for nothing.
Right.
So I think that's why I started doing movie reactions. But I really like people requesting certain movies. Also, a lot of people are requesting older movies,
Mhm.
which I have never heard of. So it's really fun to find more movies to get to know them more.
Yeah. It's good to have the patrons, guide you through that, especially when, again, you haven't done it for so long, so you have like again the whole landscape of film to look at. It's a good way to sort of like you said, find sort of classic and cult classic films, that you were otherwise missing. I guess, have there been any favorites or surprises that you found so far in your time, just like movies that really sort of hit you that you didn't even know of prior to watching it?
Yeah, a lot of people have been requesting World War II videos or movies. They always surprise me because most of them are so good, but it's like movies that I wouldn't really watch for myself. Like I'm not sitting on the couch at night like, ah, I'm gonna watch a Second World War movie.
Right.
But then when people request it, at first I'm like, I'm not sure if that's my thing, but I'm just gonna try it out. And
Hmm.
for example, I recently reacted to Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a good movie, but I never, yeah, came up with the idea to just watch it. And I was like, I'm so happy that someone requested this because now I finally got to see this movie and share my reaction with the audience.
Yeah, yeah. Hacksaw Ridge is a really great film.
Yeah.
That's one of my. I think that's one of my, like my top, sort of 5 or 10 films I like
Oh.
to just like see if someone for a reaction specifically to see if someone's reacts to it because it has like so many sort of dynamic moments in it to truly get an idea of someone's reaction format through it.
Mm.
Um, and over the years, with the channel, how would you say your own relationship or like just like general literacy of media and TV and film has evolved, through your experience with the channel?
I think it also helped that I was in film school. We got storytelling lessons there, and they really were my favorite lessons. So yeah, I feel like when I learned more about storytelling and just um, yeah, we also had like lessons where we just would just like watch parts of a movie and then just talk about that after. I think that also really helped me in my reactions and the way I look at movies. So yeah, I think my study really helped me with that, and I feel like I look at movies way different now than I did like 10 years ago. So
Yeah, and I know you've also dabbled in making your own short films and your own,
yeah.
creations. Has your experience, I guess, obviously through film school, but also with the channel, has that helped at all? And just like being able to sort of try to express yourself creatively through that.
Yeah, that was it was really just because we had to do it from school, but it was also it was a dream for me to make my own movie once. So it helped that they set up the project and all, and then we had to do well almost everything ourselves. But it helps that there's like yeah something there that's like okay, but you have to do it. You can't just quit when it gets hard.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was really stressful to make my own movie, but in the end, yeah, I got so much out of it. Just working with actors and working as a director, it was a really nice experience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I also went to film school, and like I realized at a certain point that my knack was more for editing than directing. So
Mm,
I definitely applaud you because I know what goes into obviously the scope of that whole thing. So yeah,
yeah,
it was a fantastic effort. So congrats on that.
thank you.
And yeah, with the channel itself, I guess what would you say is the most consistent obstacle that you faced with it over the years?
I think the work that goes into editing the videos. When I'm editing, I get distracted a lot. So yeah, I have to be in my focus, and then I can just like edit a full video. But when there's like a day where I get distracted a lot, it can take me so long to edit the video. And then I'm like, yeah, but I started the channel to uh, express my reactions, But now I'm mostly just one day I'm just recording everything for that week, and then the rest of the week I'm just editing. So I think that that is an obstacle. Like I don't really mind, but yeah, it's a lot of work.
Right. Yeah. It definitely can be. Again, as an editor, I definitely know what
Yeah,
goes into into the amount, especially for like movie reactions as well.
yeah.
It's a lot. How do you feel you've personally grown over your time with the channel?
I think I became a bit of a better talker in some way because I analyze movies more, and I try to when I do a review at the end, I try to yeah do a deep dive on certain things. I think at first when I was doing my reviews, it was just like it was a nice episode, I had fun, and that was it.
Right.
But over the years, I started to like when I watch it, I don't want to talk too much about it, like through the episode. So
Hmm.
I sometimes save some things for after to just tell in my review, and I think that really helped me just analyze certain things, but not just in reactions, but also in real life.
Hmm.
I feel like when I, for example, have a discussion with someone, I feel like I became a better talker because of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. It definitely helps. Yeah, with your natural ability to just like hold a conversation, especially about film and your interests.
Yeah.
It's a good practice overall, especially like you said, doing it alone and then having someone there to actually speak with. When you get the chance, like it makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier to actually speak to another person.
Yeah.
Um, and how do you, but not beyond any monetary or financial value with the channel? What has been the most rewarding aspect of it for you?
I think for me, mostly just sharing my experiences with TV shows and movies.
Mhm.
Um, just because from a young age, it was so easy for me to become a fan of something, and then my whole life would just be around this one thing. To finally have like a way to really share this and um, people actually being interested enough to listen to me, has just been really rewarding to me.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. And like I said before, your voice in the space has been pretty synonymous with, I think, for myself, large parts of my fandoms, with The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. So it's been really fun to have you be a part of that over the years.
Yeah.
And we do have a final questionnaire that we give to everyone. It's 10 questions down the line for you. The first question being, what's your favorite TV show of all time?
Okay, I think I'm gonna say Game of Thrones, but if I have to count the last season with that, I don't. Um, then I will say the Haunting series, like Haunting of Hill House and
Oh,
Haunting of
right.
Bly Manor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really, I think, my favorite shows. They're just so good.
Oh, those are definitely fantastic. I forgot to ask, did you ever see Midnight Mass?
I did, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's my favorite of the
Oh,
Flanagan bunch. I really love that one.
I watched it one time, and I don't really remember. I don't. It didn't stick with me, so I feel
Mhm.
like I should give it a rewatch.
Possibly, yeah. What was your favorite film of all time?
I think Return of the Jedi because it has
Mhm.
such a fond childhood memory for me, and it's still
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies. So
yeah, it makes sense. It's a great pick. What stresses you out?
when there's a lot of stuff on my to-do list.
Yeah, right. I definitely feel that. Like I said, especially for the reaction, especially for the binge
Yeah,
shows that come
yeah,
out and then it piles up.
yeah.
Firstly, what helps you relax?
When in the evening I can just watch a TV show for myself, and sometimes I build some Legos in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps me relax.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to have that passive time to be able
Yeah,
to just, like, sort of go on autopilot a little bit with something and some good Legos, yeah.
yeah.
What hobby or passion do you have outside of media, like TV or film and games?
Well, I think 2 years ago I never expected that I would say this, but recently I really got into going to the gym and running. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of that now. Yeah, so that's
That's
my hobby next to this.
that that's a great answer. That's a very,
Yeah,
very good answer. I wish I could have some more of that in my free time as for
yeah.
sure. What is your comfort show or film?
I think my comfort film is Batman Returns from
Really?
Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But honestly, everything DC related just
Mhm.
gives me so much comfort. I don't know why. That's why I
Yeah.
also don't really react to it a lot. It's just like it's really my thing. And then when I'm
That makes
stressed, I watch Gotham, for example.
Oh, I loved Gotham. Yeah, I
Yeah,
loved when I was on. Did you see the new Superman film yet?
I did. I loved
Okay.
it.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Batman Returns one is also, I think, among that era of Batman stuff, I really love just because of the Christmas vibe, the sort of like,
yeah.
like Tim Burton has this like the sort of like the sets of it has this like really weird homey feel to me because I
Mm,
also grew up with it. So yeah, I definitely relate to that.
yeah.
What fictional character do you relate to or just care deeply about?
I think I'm still gonna say Daenerys then,
Hmm.
or Princess Leia, because yeah, Princess Leia was just when I was a child. I feel like she was the first strong female character I saw on screen, and I really liked her, so she still means a lot to me. And Daenerys is just like in my teenage years, I was obsessed with her. I mean, my hair is still white, so
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I think those two characters just did a lot for me personally.
Yeah, yeah, it holds true, despite the last season, like you said, of Game of Thrones. It still resonates.
Yeah.
And what show or film gave you your favorite reaction experience with the channel?
Um, I think because I did a lot of shows and there's always a lot of people um yeah commenting on it with different opinions, but one show I didn't really have that with was Our Flag Means Dead. Do you know it?
I
Yeah.
watched both seasons. Yeah, I love the show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I felt like the fandom was so connected, and I really liked that in the comments. Like, no one was fighting because, like, normally with House of the Dragon or The Last of Us, everyone's fighting in the comments because they have different opinions.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Our Flag Means That, I also did those reactions with Vena together.
Mm.
And the people were just so nice, and everyone agreed on it. So, yeah, I don't know, I just like that.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that I think flew under the radar. So like it didn't
Yeah,
have, like people coming in from outside of it a lot to talk about it. Everyone who was into the show was really into it because they loved it. So especially
yeah,
by season 2, it had a really good fan base with it.
yeah, exactly.
What show or film do you wish you could erase from your memory and react to again for the first time on camera?
Um, I think Arcane season 1,
Well, it's a good one,
because
yeah.
I did season 2, but
Mhm.
when I watched season 1 when I was on break from school, I think, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna check this out. I think it was already out for 2 years, but I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna check it out. And then I didn't think I was gonna get so obsessed with it,
Right.
and I had such heavy reactions watching that. And then after I was like, why did I not react to this? And
Yeah.
then I reacted to season 2, but it was fun, but I feel like it was not as good as season 1.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm still really sad I didn't react to that.
Yeah, that's a pretty common opinion I've seen. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. My last guest that we just had on last week, Moscow from We Last Reacts, she said the same exact thing. She watched season 1 on her own. She wished she'd go back and watch it. Yeah, it's one of those almost like new age Game of Thrones ones. People kind of
Yeah.
wish they could have watched on camera.
Mhm.
And our final question here is: what advice would you give to your past self if you can go back in time when you first started the channel?
I guess just don't stress too much, because when I just started the channel, I was uploading Minecraft videos for like 30 people, but I was constantly so stressed to have the videos online on time. And I'm
Right.
like, just have fun with it. And I did
Yeah.
have fun, but I also stressed a lot. But now I'm like, it wasn't necessary. Just have fun with the channel and yeah,
Yeah.
upload what you like.
Yeah. That's definitely the foundation for any healthy channel is to definitely
Mhm.
have fun with it first before you
Yeah.
start stressing out over the rigidness of it. Larissa, thank you so much for coming on today. Again, I've really enjoyed your reaction, your presence in the space over the years, especially in my love for The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. So I really am happy to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for the questions. They were really fun to answer.
Thank you. Where can we find you online, on YouTube, social media, anywhere otherwise?
Yeah, on YouTube, my channel is just my name. It's Larissa Zeeuwe.
Mhm.
And I'm on Instagram, same name. Honestly, everywhere, just that username. So yeah.
Good to know. Again will do my best to pronounce it correctly.
Okay.
And thank you so much for joining me, particularly pretty late. I just want to remark to everyone it is 4 a.m. here, and I was really excited
4
to
a.m.
get
Oh,
this.
oh damn. It's a dedication.
Yeah, I was really excited for this one, so I'm happy to do it. You can
Nice.
find me at Nerdchronic across social media. You can find us at the Reactorverse across social media as well. You'll find links to our Patreon and Discord down below, and we'll catch everyone on the next episode.